Shedeur Sanders didn't just win his first NFL start. He became the first Browns quarterback to win his debut since 1995. But even after that performance, even after the flashes we saw, Kevin Stefanski wouldn't commit to him starting against the 49ers. And when he finally did name Sanders the starter on Monday, he still refused to commit to anything beyond this week. Today, we're breaking down why the lack of commitment makes no sense and why Shedeur Sanders has to be Cleveland's QB1 for the rest of the season. Look, Shedeur's debut wasn't perfect, but it was better. A lot better. And it was different. For the first time in a long time, Browns fans saw something that looked like actual hope. Yet even with that spark, even with a win Cleveland hasn't seen from a rookie QB in nearly 30 years, Stefanski still can't say out loud what feels obvious. Yes, Shedeur is starting this week, but beyond that, nothing. No commitment, no clarity. And listen, if you're watching the Browns more closely because of Shedeur, if every snap suddenly feels like it matters, hit the like button so we know you're paying attention to the same things we are. A quarterback who just might change Cleveland's future. Because if the Browns want off the never-ending quarterback carousel, if they want to stop drafting the name before the name, they need to keep playing the one QB who gives them a real chance at clarity. So let's break that down. It starts with what we saw on Sunday, a debut that wasn't polished, but it was promising. A performance that forced Stefanski's hand for this week and should force it for the rest of the season. The Browns didn't reinvent the wheel. They rolled Sanders out. They moved the launch point. They sprinkled in some quick game and screens. And they even took a few deep shots. Most importantly, they trusted Myles Garrett and that defense to take care of the rest. And Sanders held up his end, too. 11 of 20 for 209 yards with a touchdown and an interception. But those numbers don't tell the whole story. It's what he did on those throws. He ripped a 55-yard missile to Isaiah Bond in the first half. We saw him climb the pocket like a veteran. And when he made mistakes, he bounced back, also like a veteran. And again, Shedeur is the first Browns QB to win in his debut since 1995. How long ago was that? His dad, Deion Sanders, was 28 years old the last time it happened. That's not normal. And that's not someone you put back on the bench to quote-unquote think about. And here's the thing. This isn't even about Dillon Gabriel. He's a point guard who can distribute the ball in short and intermediate throws from a clean pocket, but when he has to push the ball downfield, it falls apart. In 6 starts, Gabriel ranked dead last among rookie quarterbacks in big-time throws and dead last in explosive plays down the field. Through 6 games, we know exactly who Gabriel is. Through 6 quarters, we don't yet know who Shedeur Sanders is, and that's exactly the point. If you're Cleveland, the upside lives in the unknown. The downside lives in sticking with the QB, whose ceiling appears to already be clear. So let's talk about what Shedeur actually showed. He was calmer in the pocket than the week before when he got thrown into that Ravens game after the same number of first-team reps as you or me. Against the Raiders, he was poised in the pocket. The ball came out on time. The Browns schemed up ways to simplify his reads, and the downfield aggression was there, more than it has ever been with Gabriel under center. In fact, among 47 Day 3 quarterbacks making their first NFL starts from 2010 to 2025, Sanders ranked 3rd in yards per attempt, 4th in explosive play rate, first in deep ball percentage. And yes, he was middle of the pack in terms of EPA and completion percentage, but you don't draft a Day 3 QB for polish, you draft him for possibilities. And those possibilities are the reason we're even having this conversation. And when you zoom out, the stakes become obvious. Cleveland has 2 first-round picks in 2026, and right now, they're bad enough to be picking inside the top 10. You cannot walk into the draft not knowing what you have in Sanders. Since 2010, teams have drafted a quarterback in the first round 1 year after previously drafting a quarterback 10 different times. Jimmy Clausen came before Cam Newton, Sean Mannion before Jared Goff, Nathan Peterman before Josh Allen, and Ryan Finley before Joe Burrow. You know what all those guys were? The name before the name. And Cleveland absolutely cannot afford to draft another one. And the only way to avoid that fate is by answering this simple question. Is Shedeur Sanders real? And you don't get that answer from the bench. Look around the league. The moment always comes. Trey Lance was a starter until he wasn't, and Brock Purdy seized his shot. RG3 went down, and Kirk Cousins took over. There's an old saying in football, it's not how you got here, it's what you do with the opportunity once you get your chance. And Shedeur didn't just survive his moment. He showed growth and maturity and resilience and poise, and the big one, the ability to create big plays this offense has been missing. No excuses, no complaints about reps. He was just ready when his number was called. And when that moment finally arrived, he looked like a guy who could handle it. This isn't hard. The Browns don't know who their 2026 quarterback is. They don't even know if he's on the roster right now. What they do know is this. Gabriel isn't the long-term answer. Cleveland will likely draft a quarterback next spring, and Sanders is absolutely worth exploring. You cannot go into the offseason blind, especially with those 2 first-round picks. You can't evaluate the draft board without evaluating your own roster first, and you absolutely cannot bench the first quarterback since 1995 to win in his debut for the Browns, especially with what Sanders showed against the Raiders. The easiest decision Kevin Stefanski will make all year: play Shedeur Sanders for the rest of the season, no more waffling or hedging, and find out if he's Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins or just the latest name before the name, because once again, the Browns' future depends on it.